Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McPhinney. I'm your host. Today is the 9th of April, year 2026. And today at 12:35 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, Mars ingressed into Aries. It will stay in its home sign until the 19th of May. And so we have approximately a month and a half to be like rocket fuel, because that's what Mars in Aries is. It loves being in its home sign because the energy force within is there to do what is needed outside of yourself. Of course, we can always utilize this energy and point it inward to do deep spiritual work. But if you want a spring clean, go to it. You will have the energy force with you. Now I want to talk about Mars when it's in Aries in general. Mars is a fire sign, an action sign. Aries is also a fire sign and an action sign. It's a cardinal modality. It means it does not waste time. As a matter of fact, if we were to look at any flaw the Mars and Aries might have, it would be its impatience. It is known for wanting things done yesterday. Mars is full throttle, let's get it done energy. Mars in Aries is the placement that you want when you need somebody who is courageous, ready to do battle if they have to. They have the qualities of being a protector. They're adventurous. If you want to swing across a wire in the middle of the Amazon, find somebody with Mars and Aries, they'll go with you. They're headstrong, and they are wanting to be independent. Aries is a fire sign, and Mars, by its very nature, deals with fire, which is also warmth. You know, if it's freezing outside, you want that warmth. It also is a placement that can exude enormous sexuality. Many sex symbols in our Hollywood world have a strong Mars placement. This would include, if you don't have Mars in Aries, if you have a Mars first house, or if you have Mars at the top of your chart. It's just part of their expression without doing anything. They exude sensuality and sexuality. And it has a lot to do with the confidence that Mars will easily project out into the universe. It is likely where the term came from, oh, they're hot, That means they have magnetism. We're drawn to them. It's that confidence. So you too can grab some of your own confidence, build it up and project it out while this planet, Mars, is moving through that innovative, me first, here I come, cardinal sign, Aries. One of the questions that Mars and Aries will often ask is, who's in charge? Where's the boss? If they need to speak to somebody to get something done, if things aren't happening fast enough, they will not hesitate. Let me talk to the boss. Or they'll just take charge themselves. Have a craving for what is new, what's never been done. They're drawn to the youthful energy because youth is fearless, unless they've been conditioned in their life for some reason not to be. Normally, in youth, we are very fearless because we have not lived long enough to know all the things that can go awry that we think are fabulous ideas. So this hot-headed planet that's ready for battle and is ready to protect you if they love you and will jump on board for that outrageous adventure is here to help us get things done. Mars in Aries does not shy away from challenges. As a matter of fact, they require them. They thrive on them. They thrive with them. I think it's fascinating that the shuttle is landing tomorrow, not far from where I live, in the Pacific Ocean after their orbit around the moon, just as Mars is entering Aries. I did run a chart for their approximated landing. It looks good, even though they have a heat shield issue. Now, I often talk about how the stars, as above, so below, reflect what's happening in the headlines, or can even be a precursor to what's happening in the headlines. And we see in the headlines their heat shield is slightly damaged. So Orion is scheduled to land in the Pacific at 5:07 p.m. on the 10th of April, right as Mars will be moving into the first degree. It'll be at 55 minutes arc at that approximate landing time. That chart shows a success and a warm welcome with the moon in Aquarius conjunct Juno, the asteroid of money and marriage, and Pluto. The moon is going to be in a beautiful sextile to in the sky Mars. They're both at 0 degrees of their individual signs, showing success. But shortly after that landing, as we move forward, we are going to see Mars begin to make a conjunction to Neptune in the sky at 2 degrees of Aries, which can fuel your imagination and your paranoia if you have a tendency to go that way. Let's hope not. A better way of putting it, rather than paranoia, would be overactive imagination. And then Mars will be making a conjunction with Saturn, which solidifies everything and in some ways makes sure the brakes are working as well as the gas pedal. Mars conjunct Saturn is also the solid provider, and Mars conjunct Neptune is the sex goddess. Could also say sex god. We will probably also see in the headlines movies in Hollywood that come out with these themes. Actually, I don't think they ever leave these themes, but we will very much have in the headlines stories about, let's get these new buildings up. There's plenty of places that will need new buildings, that's for sure, as Mars also represents war. As it first conjuncts Neptune, we will see the mistakes and the misjudgments and the confusion and the propaganda and all of the fog of war. And then hopefully, by the time Mars meets up with Saturn, this war will be over. But I'm not 100% on that. I thought it would be possibly finished by the 8th, even though we did get a ceasefire. I'm a little nervous as I see the headlines, and I really don't want to talk about the President of the United States. I just want to do one podcast where we don't mention that man's name, but he does have Mars in his first house in his birth chart, and he often exemplifies negative attributes that an overzealous Mars can have, which is speaking before thinking, not learning to wait an appropriate time, but rushing to get things achieved without contemplation of the results, being hot-headed, being unable to be wrong. In many ways, the Aryan energy is very teenager-like, and we love that when we need enthusiasm and a lot of energy to get the job done, and we want to go have fun. But when the leader of a free world is exemplifying the negative traits that I just spoke about, it can be a problem for the whole earth. The color red is associated with Mars and Aries, so pull out your red that's in the wardrobe and give it a spin. Do not sit on this energy, so moving the body is really important. Learn to pace yourself. You don't want to burn out. Let's talk a little bit about how Mars, when it gets to the 9th degree of Aries, which it will do so on the 19th of April, circle that date on your calendar. On that date, Mars will be at the degree of the solar eclipse that occurred last March 2025. There was a partial solar eclipse at 9 degrees of Aries, and so Mars will be triggering it. That is going to really stir the pot. Anger is the other thing that you want to find a positive expression for, because it will be on the rise. I know that next week Los Angeles Unified School District is going on a big strike. That's sort of apropos. We also see, or I see, as I look at the research I did for various countries, Australia's ascendant, their rising sign, how they present themselves to the world, will have this 9-degree Mars activating it and squaring their leader, the leader of that country, because Australia's sun in their birth chart is square exactly this 9 degrees of Aries that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks. Probably during that week, news about youth and kids and issues dealing with youth and kids in the Australian news in that country, because they have a lot of activity in their chart right now being triggered from recent eclipses. The one in September of 2025, and then now coming up, the one that will be triggered that happened in March 2025. NASA, they are having an activation, but it's a positive one. Mars will be sextiling their natal Mars, so a lot of yay for their achievement around the moon. New York City is going to have a little bit of a problem with people that are antagonists. Open enemies will get even braver. So if you live in the city, be extra cautious. There's a lot of angst out there with people who do not express their anger in ways that are healthy to release the energy, because anger is just energy. For the USA, we're going broke. I don't even want to talk about it. Canada, they also are going to be dealing with open energy generated toward their leader. China, being triggered by this Mars as it reaches the 9 Aries placement, having a dual message come out. saying one thing, but the action's a different thing. Egypt, something from the past is going to pop up with Egypt. Something that was not resolved in prior times will raise up, has a lot to do with innovation or anger or unexpressed problems that they have not resolved suddenly surface for everybody to see. Iran. This Mars in Aries is moving to conjunct their sun. Now, when Mars in the sky conjuncts your sun, you see bravery, you see bravo, you see somebody that is not scared and will not back down. Please listen. If you happen to be that man in the Oval Office, they're not going to back down. Okay. They have in their chart, this Mars will create an inconjunct. That's an aspect of adjustment to their Saturn. So there is wiggle room for an adjustment, but they are not going to back down. The negative manifestation of Mars in Aries is energy that's like a deranged pit bull. It also represents dry heat, brain issues, people who have ADHD, when it's super overactive without a release, we see strokes, we see heat issues, heat strokes, and the fight or flight energy. So that's enough of the negative. I really know that the world has so much negativity right now. We need some positive. The positive, if you can stay balanced and find the proper channels for this Mars energy, which means moving your body. It does not mean sitting stationary. And you can latch on to spiritual truths that you have. You can get a lot done that is effective and helps to stabilize this Mars and Aries energy toward goodwill and helping. It's a great builder. It's a fantastic way to build a whole new reality. We're moving toward that. We can move toward that. The other positive is this Mars in Aries will create a lovely relationship with Pluto that's in the sky. Pluto and Mars, man, that's the innovative success that goes down in the history books. Martial arts. This is a wonderful time to begin to explore Tai Chi. Pick something that you've never done. Allow yourself the freedom to explore and have yourself an adventure. This is a wonderful time to spice up your life. Keep it interesting. Keep it interesting for yourself and keep it interesting for the people that are in your circle. Find your nearest hot spring and soak in wonderful healing waters. Go to the races. Have a barbecue. I'm a vegetarian, but you can barbecue anything. Those are ways that you can utilize this heat action energy and bring forth the positive that the universe wants us to grasp onto. And get rid of any fear. Just show that fear has no room where you live. Put on the red hot chili peppers and dance. So let me give you a few more dates. Specifically on the 13th of April, Mars will conjunct Neptune. That's the sex goddess. Dreaming up a plot. And that's also your imagination. Then we have Mars sextiling Pluto on the 16th. Your power energy surges, and you can really stand out in a group if you decide to. And that's also when group power will be at a great high. On the 19th, Mars joins up with Saturn, finalizing a deal and making sure everything is locked up tight. You can sign a contract that day and know that that's a solid one. On the 4th of May, Mars will square Jupiter, so be aware of your opinions. Oh yes, I see. On the 16th of April, Mars will conjunct Chiron, the maverick, innovator, healing. Chiron is the old-fashioned key, and it's the wounded healer, and it's how we heal and how we help others heal because we share our experiences. So you have your marching orders. You learn to grasp onto this great Mars energy and use it in the most positive way. Find yourself asserting for yourself the life that you wish to manifest. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. There's many different levels. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.